So rather, I have a unique way of presenting my part because I'd be sharing some of my experiences as a science teacher in the formal school and how I am banking with this experience so we could improve our learning interventions in the alternative learning system in Region 10. And it all started in the year 2011 and 2012 when the DLP Learning Physics as One Nation, or LPON, was introduced in the division of Cagayan de Oro City. So I was one of the DLP writers in the science subject. And it is indeed a game changer for me because my physics class ranked first in the National Achievement Test in the entire Cagayan de Oro City public and private schools in March 2012. So in that picture, you can see me with the Bernidos. So I really had a hard time in finding this picture, but this is my first DLP LPON class in Tablon National High School for the school year 2011 and 2012. I can really say that this class honestly performs on the average level only. But with my intervention or with our intervention with DLP, they managed it really to excel and to really rank #1 in the National Achievement Test for physics. So that goes to show that no matter what is the background of your students, but with a proper intervention with the DLP, you can really maximize their potentials to the fullest. So for 7 long years, no, from 2011 to 2018, I was consistent in using the dynamic learning program in my science classes in the formal setting, and as well as in my senior high school classes, particularly in the practical research class. And what is really groundbreaking here is that my co-teachers were also asking for my learning activity sheets for the research for them to understand what is research all about and for them to do action research. So it is really enlightening for me that my learning activity sheets, which was intended for my learners, were being maximized by the teacher. So it really came in handy for them because they understood the concepts well in research for the teachers. And in this picture, it is somewhat heartbreaking for me because it is in year 2018 that I had my last DLP class with them because it is in this year that I was invited to join in the division office. And in that class, one student approached me and she said, "Sir Butch, dili ko gusto ma-stop ang DLP nato." So she was referring that when one new teacher would replace me and will not continue the DLP, so it was she was kind of anxious about it. So I told her that I will tell the new teacher to continue with the DLP. So with this sharing of my student, it is both heartbreaking and reaffirming for me that the DLP can really do wonders with our students. In those 7 years, I had my DLP stints not only in Cagayan de Oro City, but in partnership with the School of Education at Xavier University. We did DLP orientations and even consultations at Surigao del Norte parochial schools, as well as in the Bukidnon Jesuit schools. So it is really a good experience for me to really sharpen and hone my DLP knowledge and how I can share it to them. And in the year 2017, ALS CDO invited me to speak about DLP. So back then, at this year in 2017, I was still a formal school teacher, and in that year, I believe that is the birth of the DLP in the ALS, no, in the alternative learning system. And in the 2018, I had the opportunity to be trained as a DLP ambassador, and with me in that picture are our CDO implementers. We have Dr. January Gay Valenzona. We also have here Gretchen Linaat, and we have Jmar Coquilla. So it was in that experience that we were taught on how to be DLP ambassadors. Now, in this picture, this was in year 2018 when ALS CDO did validation in their prepared learning activity sheet. So I was invited again as a content expert. And in this experience, it was really enlightening for me, such that after the activity, I really went to the nearby church in the St. Augustine Metropolitan Cathedral, and I really prayed for the ALS CDO. I asked for the guidance for them to really excel with what they do, because I really believe in the causes that the ALS are doing, being the non-formal delivery partner of the Department of Education. And you know what? God really answered our prayers, because of this experience. Um, I was invited to join the division office as the division coordinator for the alternative learning system. So it was really life-changing for me, being a die-hard science teacher, with me being turned into an advocate of the alternative learning system. So while I was in ALS CDO, one of the milestones that I am really proud about is that when we launched the shared option. Shared would stand for the Senior High Alternative Responsive Education Delivery Option. So basically, it is the delivery of senior high school in alternative mode. And we introduced this in two facilities. First, in the BJMP in Cagayan de Oro City Jail, and in the second facility in the Department of Health Treatment and Rehab Center. So for this program to sustain, we had preparations of the learning materials. So we can see here that we did DLP Write Shop for the senior high school core subject. So these learning activity sheets will be intently be used by our learners in the shared option. So our writers here are senior high school teachers who are really content experts. And seeing that the result of this is very positive, we extended the Write Shop to other subjects. So we did the DLP Write Shop for subjects in the general academic strand and for subjects in the tech, voc, and livelihood tracks. So again, these learning activity sheets are for our shared option. So we have here a sample of the cover design of the compilation of the activity sheet. And this was designed for us by our ALS implementer in Cagayan de Oro City, Mr. Willie Canto. So in this slide, in the year 2019, so I was invited by SMART to do a DLP training with ALS Iloilo City. So it dawned on me that the DLP is really spreading. So not only in ALS Cagayan de Oro City, but also in Iloilo City. And it came to me also that that there were also other ALS divisions that were also implementing the DLP, such as the ALS Naga City. So also in the year 2019, I was requested by our director to join the regional office as the regional ALS focal person. So with my experience of the dynamic learning program in the formal school and believing on how good it is for our learners, so in phase one, we did this development of contextualized learning activity sheets. So this is composed of the education program specialist for the ALS, also with the DLP ambassadors in Cagayan de Oro City, and some mobile teachers who had experience already in doing the writing proper. So our main output for phase one is that we were able to had a walkthrough of the newly released curriculum guide of the alternative learning system that was in December 2019. So we were able to have a look with the learning competencies. We articulated it, and then we integrated some of these learning competencies, such that we were able to arrive at a certain number of learning activity sheets. So in this slide, on phase two, so this is now on the writing proper of the learning activity sheets, because in phase one, we were able to have an inventory of titles. So in phase two, just last week, last Thursday, so we did an online orientation with our writers and content experts, to which the SMART team was with us, as well as with the ALS Task Force with Director Ma'am Marilet Almeida. So I made mention in this article that indeed, just like what Ms. Hazel mentioned, that it takes a village to educate a child. So with that, I mean that it would involve various stakeholders for us to be successful in this project. So with this, as you can see, we identified 98 writers who are mobile teachers in the alternative learning system, and then we involved the 45 division focal persons and the EPSAs to help us in the monitoring, and then we tapped 7 teachers from the formal school system to be our content expert. And of course, the smart communications is there for us for technical support, and later on in the provision of anti-plagiarism tools, such that later on we will be really proud of our activity sheets, that it is of academic honesty. And it is really challenging at this point because we cannot do the write shop in face-to-face or in actual session, but we maximize Facebook groups to organize our writers and to do file sharing and to have consultations and critics and all that. So yes, we are making it possible. So what is our basis on why we are doing this? So what is it that I am anchoring on if we really want to improve our delivery of the alternative learning system in Region 10? So of course, I will always go back to this model, which is the curriculum instruction assessment model. This is fundamental in educational management. So we have 3 words here. We have curriculum, instruction, and assessment. For the curriculum, this is already in place since the ALS task force released the curriculum guide for the ALS 2.0. Now, for the instruction part, this is where the dynamic learning program would come in. And then later on, I will be explaining to you why DLP can help us in our instruction in the alternative learning system. And on the 3rd word, you have their assessment. So we already have existing ALS process, assessment processes, and we'll just have to strengthen it. For a start, we are already doing the improvisation of the individual learning agreement, or the ILA, especially in the new normal. So why is it that the dynamic learning program is good in the alternative learning system? So let me present to you briefly 6 points. First is that DLP aligns with the andragogy features. So in the alternative learning system, our learners are adult learners. So therefore, some basic pedagogical concepts may not be practical. And according to Knowles, who is the father of andragogy, and his colleagues Holton and Swanson in 1998, they said that adult learners behaves in the concept of self-directedness and practical orientation to learning. In the dynamic learning program, we are honing our learners to become self-directed, to become independent learners, and to become disciplined in the learning process. And I believe that the DLP would really fit in the andragogical concept of the alternative learning system. Second is that DLP conceives to be inclusive. According to the Bernidos in 2010, DLP is a differentiated and target-oriented program, and it is effective for learning under multiple socioeconomic and cultural constraints. Indeed, our learners in alternative learning system comes from different background, with different nature, with different needs, and therefore we cannot take all the learners come in one big class and then discounting them of their individual needs and background. So therefore, we need to have them in a way that it is 1:1, and DLP is actually like that. In DLP sessions, learning is individualized, and with that, we can really consider the different background of our learners. Hence, it is inclusive. DLP fills the gap on teacher expertise. We did a survey this year in ALS Region 10, and it revealed that around 70% of the ALS teachers are graduates of Bachelor in Elementary Education. I believe this is a misconception before, that if you are an ALS teacher, you should be an elementary teacher. Therefore, with that, there are more of generalists than specialists. And that for me poses a big problem, because our ALS teachers are expected to teach higher concepts. In alternative learning system, junior high school level, we already have algebra, we have trigonometry, we have chemistry, we have physics, and that is beyond their training in college. So therefore, the DLP activity sheets would come in handy for them. It is already prepared, it is simplified, and therefore they don't have to skip these topics because again the materials are ready and available. Next is that while ALS teachers do well in managing their sessions, the survey also uncovers that some learning strands are left out, which I cannot blame our ALS teachers. Sometimes they have to leave the math, the difficult math topics behind. They have to leave some science topics behind, and even in the digital citizenship, which is the learning strand number 6, we even have basic web designing, and who among us can really teach that one. So we cannot really blame them. But if we can complete all the learning activity sheets from learning strands 1 up to 6, then there's no more reason for our house teachers to leave these topics untouched. Fourth, the DLP concurs with the portfolio requirement. So based on DepEd Order 13, 2019, our DLP learners will have the two things. First, the work folder, which is actually a repository of evidences of learning. And second one, a presentation portfolio, which is merely a collection of best output culled from the work folder, and it will be used as a requirement in the accreditation and equivalency test. And one of the features in DLP is that we have already the comprehensive portfolio. So therefore, if our ALS learners will do the portfolio, then it is good to say that we are already complying with the requirement in the A&E test, which is the portfolio. Number 5, the DLP addresses motivation issues of ALS learners. So this is one of the recurring concerns of our ALS teachers, that our learners are not motivated, manifested by being so late in coming to their sessions, or they appear very randomly. And that's because they've been out of school. I mean, they've been out of school for so long, and there are really some things that are affecting them. But according to the Bernidos, DLP students follow set procedures that foster habit formation for focused and sustained learning, just like what was being shared by our previous speakers, that the mere sight of the paper and pen will already create a trigger switch in their brains that it's already writing time. And if that is the trend, then our learners will become motivated in the process. And lastly, number 6, DLP fits to the multi-grade design in the ALS sessions. Our ALS teachers are like Superman and the Superwoman of DepEd, because in one learning session, they handle 3 groups of students all at the same time. They have the basic literacy group, which demands more attention because this is more of the basic writing and basic numeracy. Then we have elementary, and we have the junior high school. Again, all of these 3 groups simultaneously. And if a teacher has no system on how to handle these 3 groups, the teacher will become so overwhelmed and gets confused in the process. But if we are going to apply the DLP parallel class scheme, that the teacher can attend to one group while the other groups are busy attending to their learning activity sheets. And indeed, the Bernidos mentioned that DLP parallel classes scheme will foster process-induced learning instead of being teacher-centered. So all of these 6 points, I believe, are strong points enough on why we have to proceed with our plan in the Region 10 with the DLP for the alternative learning system. So in closing, as my end note, my spirits and my hopes are high that we can finish our write shop of the contextualized learning activity sheets before the opening of classes in August. And it's somehow sad for me that for our pilot implementation, it falls in this time of pandemic. But on the other hand, I am so positive that this is our best weapon, this is our best response in the new normal. So thank you very much, and mayang hapon sa tanan.